just got my 1 year. When I say that, I feel like raising the roof, It's like, wow, where I was at and where I am today is just, it's actually unbelievable, unfathomable sometimes. So I'm extremely nervous, by the way, so we'll throw that out right now for everybody to understand that my nerves are going nuts, but I know that we are all the same. We are different, but we all have one common thing, and that we are alcoholics, and that we struggle with addiction, and we do it on life's terms. And so I'm just going to share a little bit of experience, strength, and hope of how I got to my year. So my family, both my parents were alcoholics. They split when I was young. My father was in the Navy, so I was a Seabee brat. I lived in Virginia. He struggled with addiction, and it broke up my family. When I was 6, my mother moved us up here, and she became a single mom to 2 young children by the time that she was 25. And I say that because with her being 25, I think, wow, what would I have done with 2 little girls at the age of 25? So when working on resentments, I had to take that into consideration. Like, what would I have done if I was her? I had a lot of freedom because she was so young and working full time and taking care of 2 little girls. And you could say that my addictive behavior started at a young age. I started smoking cigarettes by the time I was 12. In school, I had already 3 smoking in school fines, and I was also truant, where when they came to my mom and told her that I had missed 75 days of my freshman year, and that if I didn't continue to attend, they were going to take her to court. I actually had my mom, sign me out of school. Prior to me getting signed out of school, 3 months in my 10th grade year, drugs was a large part of my story. I had took my first sip of alcohol, when I was around 13 years old. But it was more of, I hear in a lot of stories, that people started drinking because, some people started drinking because they didn't feel like they fit in. With me, I actually started drinking because I wanted everybody to follow me, because I had these addictive behaviors. So I was the one that would suck other people into my addiction. I was like the child that no parents wanted their child to hang out with. I always wanted to go above and beyond, what everybody else was doing. Through this program, I learned that not only am I an alcoholic and an addict, but I am also an attention addict. Everything that I did in life was surrounded by attention. I wanted to have the best clothing, and I wanted to drive the fastest car. By the time I was 16, I had bought a 1988 Camaro, and I had just got my license, and here I am driving a V8 and thinking that I'm just the best thing in the whole entire world. So these behaviors started when I quit high school. I also met my first boyfriend at that time. He was 2 years older than me. He brought me into a world where I didn't have to follow rules. I was able to move in with him and his mother. I could come in and go as I pleased. I no longer was in school. I was emancipated. I don't have to listen to my mother anymore. And I took full advantage of that. So basically, any drug or chance that I had to drink, I was there. Any party, I was there. And I was that free spirit, let's get wild and crazy, because I don't have purpose. I don't have a reason to not. I was always like the black sheep in the family. My sister was always really good at school and was going to King's College while I was just getting high. When I was 18, I did get my GED, which still to this day surprises me. I got my GED and decided that I was also going to become a bartender with a GED. Wow. Well, when I hit the bar scene, it was like I was meant to be there. I felt like bartending was the only career choice in the world. I made great money, and I was allowed to drink underage, and I had all of these people that wanted something from me. They wanted the drink that I was going to prepare them. So I felt that attention the addiction to attention just increased even more because I was so wanted and demanded in that field. I did end up signing myself into college because I decided that I needed a business management degree so that I could open my own bar at this point. I went to Northampton Community College, and within 2 years, I got my first, I got arrested when I was 15 for underage drinking because I threw the largest 16th birthday party that you could possibly do when my mother was not home. So that was my first consequence. But when I was 21, I received a felony charge for possession with the intent to deliver, because drugs was part of my story. And of course, that was another thing that I could provide for people where I was in demand. I always needed to be in demand. I always needed to give something to somebody that they wanted or needed. Which I always thought was like a people-pleasing situation. Like, oh, I just need to help everybody out, even though I'm really kind of helping them to ruin their lives, not make their lives any better. When I was in college, got arrested, I had to sign myself out of college for 2 years. I had a lot of probation and a lot of loss of license for that charge. It was an extremely sad day for my grandfather, who is in the audience right now, for his granddaughter to plead guilty to a felony charge and him looking at her. But I was so selfish. I was so selfish that, now I just look even better. Now I'm a convicted felon, so now I'm really cool. Like, I'm just like that best person in the world. Like, look at my rap sheet now. I'm tough. Like, I can do anything now with this felony charge. Which the way of thinking was like incredible. Like, how is that cool? That is not cool. You just ruined your future, but you don't see that because I'm standing in my own way of seeing this. Like, why is that okay in your life? So I did the consequences for that, went back to college. Within 2 years of me getting off of probation for my felony charge, I got my first DUI. So I went from drugs to alcohol. So did my probation officer. My probation officer was 4 years ahead of me in high school, so I knew him. There wasn't a lot of consequences with my probation. To this day, I kind of think to myself, if there was, would have been a little bit different, but probably not because of the path that I was already on. I lost my license for that. I was back on probation again, missed another year of school, and then decided, okay, now that's it. None of these situations, though, are still saying, wow, you really have a problem here. Like, this might be a red flag to say, oh, I can't get through life without drinking or doing drugs. It's more so that I'm just living the best me. I'm thinking that this is the best way to live. Oh, I'm a bartender. At this time, I'm playing pool. I'm on 4 pool leagues a week. So literally, I'm in a bar 6 out of 7 days a week at this point, playing pool. And to me, this was the ultimate dream. My main purpose in life was to be a professional bartender and a professional pool player, and that's what my life was going to be. And so it didn't matter what else was around me or the chaos that I was causing in my family or my friends. None of these things mattered because it was all about me. It was the Trista show. And I was here to show everybody how spectacular I was. When really, inside, I was not spectacular. I was doing all this to have people demand something from me, but I didn't even know who I was. I thought I knew. So, 2 years goes by after my first DUI. I think life's changing. I'm back in college. And what do? Drink and drive again. And I get my second DUI. So the progression that you see here is, I get an underage at the age of 15. By the time that I am 21, I receive a felony charge. By the time that I'm 25, now I have my first DUI. Now by the time that I'm 27, I now have my second DUI. And still, there's no problem. I see no problem. I'm blindsided by my own self. Like, just that this is still all okay. More consequences, it's okay. And, of course, at this time, I'm also like, God, who's God? Like, God doesn't do anything for me. God does things for people that are around me, but he doesn't care about what I'm doing. He doesn't help me. He doesn't, he doesn't exist in my world. The only time I say God is, God, can you help me get through this hangover? God, can you help me make sure that I can scrounge up enough change to make sure that I can get my bag of dry goods and I can have my case of Miller Lite, and that's the only reason that I would call on God, is to help me feed my addiction and tell him that he hates me, basically, and that I'm worthless and that I just don't matter. When really, all I'm doing is feeding all these other people to tell me how great I am. It's insane, the thought process that we go to before we come into AA, or NA for that matter, or any recovery program for that matter. So for my second DUI, I had to go to jail. It was just awesome thing. There I am, have to lose more college education. Now I'm literally in college since I'm 21, and I still can't get an associate's degree because I've missed so much time. I get to, jail. This is like an eye-opener. Now I'm in jail, and still I'm thinking, wow, well, now I was in jail, so people are going to really look at me like I'm just this bad girl, this crazy, wild, crazy bad girl, and thinking that this was still okay. It's unbelievable. So I get all my consequences from that: 60 days house arrest, a year interlock, no license for 18 months, 5 years probation. I'm never going to drink and drive again. I'm not saying I'm never going to drink again. I'm saying I'm never going to drink and drive again. We all wake up with a hangover and say, I'm never going to drink again. And then you end up drinking within a couple hours in order to get rid of that hangover. It's unbelievable. So I got done with that. Still on probation. I went out with my girlfriends, and I rode a mechanical bull for my girlfriend's 40th birthday, completely intoxicated, and broke my neck. The only bone I've ever broken in my body was my neck on a mechanical bull. Now, when you're walking around with a neck brace, okay, and people come up to you and say, oh my God, what happened? And I literally have to say to everybody, well, I broke my neck on a mechanical bull. The bull doesn't stop. You have to just get off the bull, and my dismount was horrible. It wasn't the fact that I was completely intoxicated and barely could see in order to ride on this bull. It was definitely the bull's fault. Not my fault. Nothing ever is my fault. It's all the mechanical bull. I'm going to sue Pigpen because their bull sucks, And this is my mentality, Not like, oh, if you were sober, you might have been able to dismount off the bull. Nope, it's the bull's fault. Because everything, my whole life, it was everybody else's fault. Victimization, self-centered, everything revolved around me, and it was always woe me, pity me, pity me. So, with a broken neck, 3 weeks after bed rest, I decided it's Halloween. Oh my God, I can't miss Halloween. So I literally dressed up as an injured baseball player. Okay, the whole outfit, the whole dress and the socks on and the sneakers on, the baseball hat and a neck brace. And there I am sitting with a broken neck at the bar, drinking shots out of a straw. And that's not a problem. Because that's what people do when they break their neck. They drink shots out of a straw, Doesn't matter, somebody could come up and hit me on the back and I could be paralyzed at this point. That doesn't matter. You go to the bar, you go as an injured baseball player, and you drink shots with a straw. That's it. That's my mentality. So really that's my experience. Lots of consequences, never thinking anything was my fault. Just living in this self-centered and selfish victimization world. I'm still in it. I end up hooking up with my best friend of 27 years. And randomly get pregnant. I'm like, wow. Well, now this takes on a whole new concept. At first, I thought that I could drink my child away. This idea of like, well, this can't really be happening to me. It's not true. What am I going to do at 33 years old, being pregnant? The father of my child that I decided to hook up with was detoxing off of methamphetamines, and I thought that was the great time to get pregnant. And this crazy chaos world, this chaotic world that I'm living in, now comes to this, like, I felt like I got hit by a wall. I decided to keep my son, but I had to drink the first 4 months of my pregnancy. I had to go from, at the time of my pregnancy, I was drinking, at least 12 beers a day, and I had a bottle of liquor with me at all times. I'm also, doing drugs at this time. I also struggled with anxiety medication. I was on Klonopin for 16 years. So at this point, I had to wean off of alcohol, marijuana, and my anxiety medication to be pregnant. I had to see a special doctor in order to do it. It took about 4 months with the alcohol, and then we had to maintain my addiction throughout my pregnancy because I was that addicted to substances. I had my son, and CPS came in right away because I was on my anxiety medication. So a case was opened right after I gave birth. Now at this point, I'm saying to myself, okay, this is where it's at. Now you got to stop what you're doing. You're a mother. I made it through the CPS case, and as soon as the CPS case was open or done, it all started again. The father of the child and me broke up. He told me that he was doing heroin now at this point, and I became a single mom when my child was 4 months old, and the woes me really came in, and the resentments, and this can't be happening to me. Where did my life go? Where did this crazy fun life that I had go? Now, my alcoholism and my addiction has brought me to an isolation point. Now, I'm sitting at home and I'm being a mom and I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm drinking to black out and numb everything that's going on. I'm still taking care of my son, but I'm not even remembering if I gave him a bath at this point. I'm not remembering what TV shows I watched. I am there, but I am not there. And I'm living in all of this victimization, like this cannot be happening to me. No acceptance. I could not accept that this was what was going on to me. So I just numbed it. Now at this point, I'm a single mom, I need more energy. So more drugs come into play. More prescription pills, I'm taking Klonopin, I'm taking Adderall, I'm drinking, I'm smoking the green goods, and this is me as a mother. And I'm a fantastic mother, thinking, oh my God, I'm such a good mom. I'm not even present. I'm not even there. So it got to a point where I said to myself, I don't want to live anymore. I don't want, my son deserves a better mother. I cannot be his mom. How is he going to grow up with me as a mother? I'm taking care of a disabled mother also for the last 12 years. I can't take care of her. She's in remission from cancer. I got to a point where I didn't think anybody would even miss me if I was gone. That's how much of a disaster I felt like I was inside. I was dead inside. I was broken. And I said to myself, I can't live like this. I have absolutely no idea what came over me sitting outside on my patio porch after I had just ran up, because I was one of those drinkers where I would actually hide alcohol at 34 years old from my mother behind my house at 34 years old. I'm a mother, and I'm hiding from my mother the amount of alcohol that I'm drinking. And I'm running these bottles up to the neighbor's recycling bin so that she doesn't see all of these bottles in my recycling bin. And I say, that's it. That's it. I'm tired. I'm shot. I can't live this life anymore. I'm not living. I don't know how I'm going to continue living this way. And I said, I don't want to. So I asked my grandfather if he would financially back me if I went to rehab. I asked my mother and my sister if they would watch my son. And I went to Lehigh Valley Intake and did an assessment, and they said, well, we can help you, but you're gonna have to also quit your anxiety medication. And I said, no, that's not my problem. The anxiety medication is not my problem. Alcohol and other drugs are my problem. They said, well, no, if we're gonna help you, you're gonna get rid of it all. I cried because I didn't realize that I had married my addiction. Till death do me part, I was going to drink and I was going to do my drugs, and that was it. That is who I married at that point. I didn't have a bottom where I lost a house, lost a husband, lost my child, lost my car, lost my job. I just never attained any of those things. because of where I was at in my addiction. So I go to rehab. And this was almost a vacation, I felt, to me. I was so tired. I'm like, no vacuuming, no diaper changing, you know, no thinking about these schedules, no waking up and, you know, being like, how am I going to get my drugs and alcohol for the day? I felt like this sense of peace until my detox started. And I detoxed for 10 days off of alcohol and benzos. I hallucinated. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't go to the bathroom. I couldn't focus. I literally was hearing ringing in my ears for 3 days, where my blood pressure's through the roof. And I look at this and I'm like, what did you do to this tiny little body? How can your body hate you this much? And I'm saying to myself, as I'm saying that, how did this happen to me, to my body? I'm thinking, wow, it would really be nice for a bottle right now. Wow, it would be really nice if I could take some anxiety medication. As they're literally pumping me with a benzo in order to detox off of a benzo. That's how bad my body hated me. And I get through this detox and I say, wow, I can never do that again. I can never do that again. And thankfully, one day at a time, I have made it to this year without having to do that again. Somebody told me that your first sober is a gift, so live in the present. And I have embraced that. And with the father of my child, he relapsed 5 times. I found him 6 weeks after I got out of rehab and put him in the same rehab with the same counselors, the same food, the same washing system, so he couldn't come and tell me that it doesn't work because I was a product of it. And here he celebrated a year yesterday. You know, it's these things in life that you don't know that can line up for you if you put the honesty and the selfishness and the self-centered and the victimization away. As soon as I got out of rehab, I was already at an AA meeting the next day. I did 90 and 90. I had IOP 3 times a week. I saw a therapist and a psychiatrist for my anxiety to be put on a safe SSI. I'm taking care of my 2-year-old, my disabled mother, and making sure that the father of my child living in a recovery house in Philadelphia is okay without trying not to hold on to the resentments of how does he get to work on himself. But I'm knowing that my best day drunk is not even close to my worst day sober. I can do this if I stay sober. I get a sponsor, I get a home group, and I'm like, this world that I didn't know anything about. You know, I had to go to AA when I did my DUIs, but I was still drinking. I'm thinking it's a little bit of a cult, you know, like, wow, what in the heck, all these old people, and they're telling me you can do this, and all these suggestions, and I'm like, I just want to be at the bar, feel all overwhelming, this is not the lifestyle for me. And then you sign up for commitments, and service, and there I am, the coffee person for the Bethlehem group, 4 months in a row, and they're giving me a key to the largest church in Bethlehem. I'm like, who gives me a key to a church? You know, that's incredible. I don't need a key to a church as I'm putting the key in and I'm feeling like $1 million. You know, it's amazing what this program can do for you. Life on life's terms is a BITCH. I mean, life doesn't stop just because you get sober. But the way that you look at life changes by going through your 12 steps and talking to your sponsor and getting phone numbers and reaching out and taking speaking commitments when you only have a year and you're a nervous wreck and you're here for an hour and you're like, oh my God, I got an hour to kill before I tell my story. But you do that, you step out of your box and you live life. You look at the birds, they chirp in the morning. You get up in the morning. You're not like, where's my bottle of Jameson so I can get through my day? The insanity is unbelievable, and you don't see it until you get sober. You don't see the chaos and how much you suck this chaos in, and you don't have to live like that anymore. You do not have to live like that anymore. And I'm going to check the time because I have no idea. So, you know, because when you're passionate about sobriety, you're nervous to speak, but like I can just feel that with how much this program has gave me, and acceptance, patience, tolerance. If it's none of my business, I stay out of it. If it doesn't have anything to do with me, I don't want to be a part of it. It's okay for me to have a good day when somebody else is having a bad day. I'm there for them, but my life doesn't have to surround around them. I have to live my life one day at a time, taking care of my responsibilities, my priorities, my son and my mother. And then if I'm a good mother and I'm a good daughter and I'm a good employee and I'm a good, could say volunteer or member of AA, now it's time to give back what you were so freely given. And it can be as easy as a handshake or a hug. Welcome to AA. I know you're struggling, but we're here for you. And the one thing I didn't touch on is God. And God is huge. And I don't know how I forgot about my higher power, because my higher power has brought me through so many things when I'm by myself. When I can't have the strength to reach out on the phone, if I don't have the strength to get through my day. And people's idea of praying, I'm like, well, do I get down on my knees? Do I put my hands together? How do you say, hey God, hi God, our Father? What do you do when you pray? And it's okay to pray to your higher power however you would like. Sometimes I say, hey God, how was your day in heaven? Were you busy today? Because I was busy, so you must have been busy watching over me. Sometimes I say, have a nice night to him. Sometimes I say, I love you, God. Thank you for my great day that I had today. And that's okay. And like the Serenity Prayer, and I'm going to end it with this. So the Serenity Prayer, I said the Serenity Prayer 150 times, I feel like, a day when I first got sober. That's all I did, whether it was doing the litter box. And I'm like, God, grant me the serenity to clean this poop. And God, grant me the serenity to continue on with this day. This driver in front of me is awful. God, grant me the serenity to get through this day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to add to the Serenity Prayer. And I'm going to make my own Serenity Prayer to myself, something that means something to me. So when I pray, I know I'm really praying to my own higher power. So my Serenity Prayer is, God, grant me the serenity, peace, and love to accept the things I cannot change. The courage, strength, and forgiveness to change the things I can. And the wisdom, patience, and motivation to know the difference. God's will, not mine, be done. Thank you, everyone, for letting me speak.